Hi friends, thanks for joining me here tonight to discuss the past week. Lori Vallow Daybell's trial is full of tales of religious extremism, zombies, and reincarnation. Lori is on trial for the murders and conspiracy to commit murder of Tammy Daybell and her two children, JJ and Tylee. Her current husband, Chad Daybell, will go to trial in the upcoming year for very similar charges. It has been shocking, to say the least, to learn all about the beliefs of a small community in Rexburg, Idaho, who seemed to agree that Rexburg was going to be the town where all those who survived the upcoming apocalypse would gather together and bring about the second coming of Christ. This past week at trial, a few new facts came to light. Number one, we found out that the coroner relabeled Tammy Daybell's death as a homicide and determined that she died from asphyxiation. This only happened after her body was exhumed because the first time around, the coroner had determined that Tammy's death was caused by natural causes. At the time, investigators thought there was no reason to be suspicious of what happened to Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy. But after realizing that so many other friends and family were dying around Chad and Lori unexpectedly and mysteriously, they knew they had to exhume Tammy's body. It's really sad because Chad's children have gone on TV to try to speak about their belief in his innocence. There's also a Reddit community in which several of Chad Daybell's children have supposedly spoken out and talked about how frustrated and sad and disgusted they were that their mother's body was exhumed without their permission. They were absolutely enraged that the local police department was able to change Tammy's cause of death. They continue to believe that their father is innocent. Number two, we were surprised to hear Kay, JJ's grandmother, talk so positively about Lori Daybell's relationship with JJ. Kay is the family member who led the police to go after Lori and Chad because she would not stop looking for JJ. If it wasn't for her, it's possible Lori and Chad might have gotten away with even more criminal acts. But she spoke honestly on the stand. She said that Lori used to be a good mom and did a lot of wonderful things for JJ. She was as shocked as anybody when she realized that JJ was lost and Lori didn't seem to give a damn. Number three, Kay testified about Charles Vallow's browsing history. Okay, this is interesting because Charles Vallow is Lori's ex-husband. He had been recently killed by Lori Vallow's brother, who claimed he had to shoot Charles in self-defense. Well, shortly after Charles died, Lori was actively using his Amazon account. And Kay was able to see what was going on because she had access to the account. She was wondering where JJ was and if he was okay. So she was looking for any evidence of what Lori was up to. When she saw that Lori was spending her time browsing and trying to purchase a white beach wedding gown, as well as some other items related to getting married on the beach. This also included 2 malachite rings for her and Chad Daybell. This is when Kay became even more suspicious about where JJ could possibly be. She was desperate and she let the police know Lori is up to something. Number 4, Detective Ray Hermoso gave harrowing testimony about finding the bodies of JJ and Tylee in Chad's pet cemetery on his farm, and it was quite shocking to learn about the state of the remains. They were obviously terribly degraded, but they were also tied and taped up, giving us some indication of how the killer disposed of the bodies, and Tylee's remains appeared to have been burned. Number 5, Lori Daybell repeatedly asked to leave the courtroom. I made several videos about this, but this mom of 3 was not interested in hearing what became of her children's bodies. She repeatedly asked the judge for permission to leave. Her lawyer said that she has a fragile state of mind. Okay, here's some behind the scenes info. People are saying that Lori is jolly and strange acting in prison. She spends a lot of time working on her hair and makeup, and she's known for dancing alone in her cell at times in the middle of the night. Some people say that she's possibly believing Chad is coming to visit her through a magical portal, because this is a belief she expressed many times long before she ever went to jail. She said that she and Chad had special teleporting abilities due to the fact that they were 2 of the chosen people who would be one of the 144,000 people saved in Rexburg, Idaho during the upcoming apocalypse. Despite Lori's constant requests, the judge required her to stay in the courtroom. Number 6, Melanie Gibb, Lori Vallow Daybell's best friend, gave her testimony in which she talked about Lori's special mission on earth to lead the 144,000 people after the return of the Savior in Rexburg, Idaho. She also spoke out about how Lori and Chad believed that they were casting out darkness from people who were evil. So it was kind of like people were being possessed and that they had a way of exorcising the demons. Number 7. People in the courtroom have said that jurors seem absolutely shocked when the term zombie started being used repeatedly. Melanie Gibb stated on the stand that Lori said that both of her kids had been possessed, and the jurors looked shocked by this information. It reminded me that although I've been watching this case for a long time and I don't find these revelations shocking because I've read about them before, the people on this jury have not heard about this case in the past, and so they're going to find it that much more strange and insane, which could really bode well for Lori being found guilty of the charges, but it could also work towards a defense of Lori possibly being found incompetent or insane. However, we have not heard from the defense that they want to make that argument. Number 8. Melanie testified that Lori's relationship with Chad Daybell was supposedly divined by God. Melanie said that Lori and Chad believed with their whole being that they needed to be together no matter what to bring about the second coming of Christ, and the people around them seemed to believe it as well. It didn't seem to matter what they had to do to make it happen because God was behind the entire plan. Number 9, jurors appeared shocked when Melanie Gibbs shared her phone call with Lori, in which she questions Lori as to why Lori is claiming JJ is with Melanie. At this point, JJ had been lost for quite a while. The police were looking for him, and Lori was trying to convince them that Melanie Gibb had her son. On the phone call, Lori sounds nonchalant. She admits to lying to the police, and she just acts like everything is some sort of divine plan that is working out perfectly, and no one should be questioning her about where her son is because it's all part of God's divine plan. Many of these facts were already known by those of us who have been following the discovery evidence all along, but I believe there is much more to come. I'm specifically interested in what Lori is going to have her defense present to try to keep her from being found guilty of these crimes. Lori claims she has alibis for every time someone around her was mysteriously killed. This may be true, but it doesn't bar her from being found guilty of the conspiracy charges that allegedly will hold just as many years as the murder charge. I'm really curious to see if the defense is going to try to put on some evidence that Lori is mentally unstable, or that she was influenced by crazy, manic, criminal people around her like Chad Daybell or her brother, Alex. I also wonder if they're going to make any claims that Lori dealt with abuse in her childhood as well as an adult. I feel like making these kinds of claims is one of the few ways she could possibly hope to explain her reaction to both of her kids going missing and eventually being found dead in Chad Daybell's backyard. I hope you'll be joining me again this week as we watch what happens with the rest of this case. What kind of secrets are going to be uncovered as we go further down this rabbit hole? I'm continuing to research interesting information about the group that Lori and Chad belonged to, the Mormon Doomsday Prepping Group that was trying to gather in Rexburg, Idaho. I hope you'll join me again later in the week as we discuss more about the case and talk about the people who still seemingly believe in the idea that 144,000 people are going to survive an apocalypse in Rexburg, Idaho.